Hi, welcome back to the channel. It's week 15 and we are attempting the delayed by a week Dopey simulation.
You're going in! 3, 2, 1, go!
So today's Friday, just got done with day 1 of Dopey Sim, 5.5 walking miles on the tread back there. Felt okay, everything's feeling okay. I did decide, just based on how my knee has felt, my left knee all week, that I'm gonna go see the orthopedic again, because they haven't looked at the knee yet, and get an MRI. I'm fairly certain, and tomorrow will confirm it when I try to do 15, that I probably have a tear. I've done some Googling, done some YouTubing. It is possible to still function and run with a tear, but just might have to adjust my goals just a tad. But anyway, the walking balloon lady intervals where I walk for 1.5 minutes and then run for 30, just so it doesn't take forever. Obviously, my knee never really hurts me on the tread because, it's flat. I do have it on like a slight incline, but not anything that's gonna bother my knee. And my foot has been feeling pretty good. Any discomfort is not anything that I can't run on. So that, I think we'll see, like I said, what happens tomorrow with 15. But my plan tomorrow, and I fortunately have friends running with me this time, so yay. That was the one good thing to come out of having to delay the simulation a week, was I have buddies I can run with now, which is good. But I'm gonna tell them, here's the plan. I'm gonna go as far as I can, but I'm not gonna do what I did on the last 2 long runs where my pain threshold is way above a 5 and I just keep going. Because that, especially if there's a tear, which doing that the past 2 long runs did not help. If there was a tear, it probably made it worse. It's not gonna help anything, so I'm gonna go as far as I can outside. If I have to stop before 15, I will. I'll come home and rest for a minute and do the remaining miles on the tread. I hate splitting long runs like that, but especially with injury, the goal may just be to be able to get through the training and complete the runs. May not be as fast as I want, so the St. Jude time goal, like I've mentioned, it might be gone. We'll see, but I'm gonna do my best tomorrow, so I will bring you along, and we'll see how it goes. See you tomorrow. This girl is the perfect workout buddy. Whenever I'm stretching, when I'm done, she stretches too with her little flute. Happy Saturday morning in what is probably very unattractive lighting, but I am on my way to meet run friends. We're going to get as far as we can into this 15 miles. Temperature, my car's reading 41 right now. So that should be helpful as far as that goes. It's obviously not going to help with pain, but it'll make other aspects of running a little bit more enjoyable. I hadn't talked about yet what I'd done earlier this week. So of course, the end of week 14, I got that shot in my foot on Thursday. So Friday and Saturday didn't run. So I was really excited Monday morning to get up. My husband and I actually went to Costco. So before we went to Costco, I jumped on the treadmill real fast and just did like 1.5 miles to see how it felt. It felt pretty good, and I was like, okay. So Tuesday, I did, the first of the 2 Dopey 45 runs. So I ran. Actually, what I did is, previous to this, I've been trying to get 4 miles in, and then I walk the rest of the 45. But I was like, I'm going to give myself some grace, ease back into it. I did 3 miles, and then I walked the rest, which ended up being about 15 minutes. So 3 miles, 30 minutes, and then walked for 15. I did the same thing on Wednesday. Both of those days felt pretty good. And then, let's see, Thursday I took Sadie out to the dam, and we just did some easy balloon lady type intervals, but obviously it's a little bit slower when I'm with her, so that was good. And yeah, so that brought us to what I've already talked about for yesterday. So I'm not sure how I feel right now about how this is gonna go, but I'm gonna just try to, I'm gonna live the title of the book, Run the Mile You're In, and just, be in the moment and, listen to my body and not push through like I have the past 2 times. I told my husband, I was like, it almost feels like a little bit of PTSD. Like I know how much pain I was in, how much my knee hurt the past 2 long runs, and I'm just, I'm just expecting it to happen at some point. But, we've been doing the anti-inflammatory thing, and I took some Tylenol this morning, so we'll see. All right, and this should be a pretty sunrise too, so that's exciting. Emily, you are not dying.
I'm stretching.
You can do it.
I'm stretching.
How far are we in? All right, we're a little over 5 miles. Knee feels okay, foot feels okay. It's usually about mile 8 that the knee starts hurting though, so we'll see. You and me both, Scout. You and me both. Well, that's a total of 15 done. I tried to run on the tread. No, so I settled for balloon lady intervals, which was painful. So I'll be fascinated to see what I'm gonna ask for an MRI, what an MRI shows. But I got farther outside than I thought I would, honestly. I didn't think I'd make it past 10. 11's not really that much farther past 10, but I'm frustrated, but I guess I have to sit and evaluate. This is an injury. This is most definitely an injury. This isn't like my body, is gonna get used to the distance. This is an injury that has to heal or something. It's not like a tired muscle or anything. So I don't want to make it worse. So I guess I just have to tell myself I'm doing what I feel like I need to do. So if I haven't already mentioned, I can't remember if I had, I made an appointment with that same ortho week after next, and we'll see. But I got my legs up right now, obviously, for a little bit, and then I will spend the rest of the day just icing this knee down real good so that I can still function. In a moment of honesty, switching hands here because my arm's getting tired. Haven't read the chapter in the book yet for this week, which I'll do this afternoon while I'm, icing, like I said. But it's called Pain, so I'm wondering if it probably was a good thing I didn't read it. We'll see. We'll see what Ryan has to say about pain, because I'm, obviously experiencing that. So I'll see you for the wrap-up of week 15. All in all, I am grateful that one way or the other, a little modge podge of running outside and then coming back on the tread, I got 15. I did the 5.5. So simulation somewhat completed. We'll see you for the closeout of week 15. Well, friends, this is the end of week 15. We are more than 24 hours out from the somewhat split 15 miles, and I was a little bit sore, which I guess shouldn't be surprising because it's been a while since I've ran over a half, but besides my knee hurting, everything else felt pretty good. Energy wise, doing good. I I may have already mentioned this in this video, but that's the most frustrating thing about the knee is besides that, everything else seems to be progressing very well, like cardio wise, leg muscle wise. So hopefully week after next we can get an answer as to what is going on in here and what we can do to manage it. Surgery is definitely not an option until after marathon weekend, but that may be where this is going if I want to continue running long distances, because it does seem to be very consistently starting to cause me pain scale 2 to 3 pain around 7-8 miles. That has been very consistent over the past 3 long runs. That is when it has started hurting. So we'll see. But like I mentioned, our chapter 15 in our book is called Pain, which is very funny. But the kind of pain that he's talking about is not injury pain. It's just the usual aches that come with running long distances. He references his Boston Marathon in here, and he says right here, right at the beginning, despite the pain, I usually could manage to focus on what felt good rather than focusing on all the muscles that were screaming at me to stop, a tactic I learned from my dad when I was getting into the sport. And that's something that even before I read this book that I kind of realized does really help, especially on a treadmill when things get really boring. But yeah, I will try to, if I'm getting really, really bored, or if it's a longer distance and things are kind of starting to ache, starting to hurt, I try to find what's going good. Like I tried to do that during 15 miles. When my knee started hurting, I was like, okay, let's not focus on that for a second. I needed to pay attention to it because I needed to know when to stop. But I was also thinking about, man, cardio's feeling good. My foot that I already started treating, it's feeling good. Focusing on the good things really does help. So he talks about, with Boston Marathon or any other longer distances that he has done, he looked to God and to God's word to see if there was things that he could think of while he was running that would help him handle those aches that come with running longer miles. He says, I found myself asking God how to handle the pain, and eventually I felt he led me to Hebrews 12, 1 through 2. And this is one of the verses I have next to my treadmill. Therefore, since we have so great a cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us also lay aside every encumbrance and the sin which so easily entangles us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. And then he goes on to say, for the joy set before him, in quotes from that verse, was the best way for Jesus to overcome his pain, and it is also the best way for us to overcome our suffering. We overcome pain by finding the joy. And he even says that sounds contrary, but that's, coming from Jesus's example, that's what he did. He endured quite a bit of suffering, quite a bit of pain, but he did it all for the joy of knowing that it was saving us and that it would give us that, eternal life whole thing. I mean, that's why he did it, and that was the joy that he was choosing to find. And he says he was able to find joy that was rooted in his love for us, joy that allowed him to overcome incredible pain. And he shares that the greater truth is that God always supplies by his grace all the strength we need for each moment to accomplish his purposes. I remember during the 9-mile run, I think if there was a 9-mile run, it was the run before the long run started to hurt, that I was nervous about, but I had all my music, and I just felt like every song, because I always put it on shuffle, every song that came up, it just gave me that little bit of strength I needed to get through that next little segment of that run. And that's kind of what it felt like, was just God giving me the strength to get through that moment, and then the next song to get me through those couple of minutes. And music for me is just so fantastic when I'm having a hard time. And he says, God always gives us the grace and strength to follow him and accomplish his purpose in every situation. That is the true definition of winning. He goes on to kind of go back to that one point focusing on what was going right instead of what was going wrong, and that a lot of times when he did that, it would cause his body to relax and he would start performing better. And he says, "This is a huge lesson I've learned when attempting to overcome pain. Trying harder doesn't help. Often it feels like the harder I try, the worse I perform. I've had to learn to let my performances flow out of my body rather than to try to force them to happen. Perhaps that's what happens in the midst of our suffering. We focus on our love for others and our love for God, and that love causes us to relax. Letting our hearts and minds fill with love is the most powerful tool we have to push through pain and find the true limits of our body." So that's a timely message for right now, for sure. As we're past the halfway point, and every long run is going to have at some point aches and pains that come with it. And as I've said before, and especially saying to myself, he is not saying, I'm not saying, no one who's been running for, any amount of time will say to run through injury like I have recently, because it's not helping my situation. But he's talking about the muscle soreness and the muscles getting used to adding each new mile. And that's the mental game, is pushing past that pain. And remembering our goals, and remembering that we get to do this, like our lovely race announcers always say. But it's hard. But this is one of those things that I love to tell the cross-country kids, that you can take the way that you mentally push through these races and through these longer runs, and take that same mental grit and use it in everyday life, because life can throw you some curveballs that you got to be able to push through. So I hope everyone is good. I'm actually closing this up on a Monday morning, and here in about an hour, I got to be at my church to head out to Boone, North Carolina, to help with some hurricane cleanups. So as much as I'm allowed to show, that will be my cross training for next week. Week 16 will be cross training, cleaning up debris, which my body might enjoy just a little bit of a break from actually pounding pavement. And I'm expecting to have some nice sore upper body muscles, which I desperately, runners always need to work these arms. But I'm looking forward to being able to help some of the people that have lost quite a bit up there. And it's very sobering, because it very easily could have been, our area, and it just happened to swing and miss us. So I'm looking forward to showing a little bit of God's love, and hopefully offering them a little bit of hope. So be sure to leave me a comment. This should have been a rest weekend for most people. So how did your rest week go? Lower miles, and how is training overall going? Is anyone else dealing with nagging injuries? Let me know how that's going. And be sure to subscribe. Week 16 will be an interesting one. May not be a whole lot of talking while I'm in Boone, but we'll definitely be coming back and doing our chapter when I get back from the trip nonetheless. So always remember that you are God's masterpiece, and I will see you next week, week 16, from Boone, North Carolina.